says that it has identified as many as 100 drones launched by Iran heading toward Israeli airspace, and Israel says that it has started to at least attempt to shoot down some of those drones over Syrian airspace, as Jordan is attempting to take down some of the drones that are above its airspace. At the same time, we just got this new alert from Israel's home command urging people that they do not need to stay as close to shelters as they had been in the previous hours, indicating that Israel and the Israeli Defense Force believe at this point that they will be able to take out the incoming threat as we await what could be these waves of drones sent over anytime this hour. All of this follows what happened earlier this morning when Israel says it targeted the heart of Iran's nuclear capabilities in an operation it calls Rising Lion.
The Jewish state refuses to be a victim of a nuclear holocaust perpetrated by the Iranian regime. I've made it clear time and again, Israel will never allow those who call for our annihilation to develop the means to achieve that goal.
Yeah, that's what's up, y'all. As you see, what they say, war is hell, right? Live TV. Power to the people. For those that don't know, they've been living under a rock, I guess. War in the Middle East with Iran with United States and Israel teamed up and bombed Iran right in the middle of peace talks at that. That's what Iran said. Said we were right in the middle of coming to a negotiation when out of clear blue sky we get bombed. So all negotiations are off the table now. They can forget about it. Trump tried to change the narrative and say he's the one saying ain't no negotiating. But nah, it was them that said no negotiation. And don't get it twisted. Meanwhile,
a chilling escalation has unfolded in the Middle East conflict as Iran launches ballistic missiles armed with cluster bomb warheads at central Israel and Jerusalem. The attack raised alarm across central Israeli cities as dozens of small explosive submunitions rained down across wide areas, turning neighborhoods into potential impact zones. Footage emerging from central Israel shows what appear to be submunitions falling from the sky after a ballistic missile strike. These small bombs are believed to have been released from a cluster warhead carried by an Iranian missile during the latest attack. According to the Israel Defense Forces, Iran has repeatedly used ballistic missiles fitted with cluster bomb warheads during the ongoing conflict. These warheads function very differently from traditional missile payloads. As the missile descends toward its target, the warhead opens mid-air. It then releases roughly 20 smaller explosive munitions, scattering them across a wide radius, estimated to be about 8 kilometers. Each of these submunitions contains approximately 2.5 kilograms of explosives. Once released, they have no propulsion or guidance systems of their own. Instead, they simply fall toward the ground, detonating on impact wherever they land. Military officials say the design dramatically expands the danger zone of a single missile. While each individual blast is smaller than that of a conventional missile warhead, the spread of multiple explosives across a large area increases the risk to civilians and infrastructure. In comparison, Iran's conventional ballistic missile warheads typically carry around 500 kilograms of explosives. Those warheads are capable of causing devastating destruction at a single impact site. But cluster warheads operate differently. Their objective is to spread explosive force across multiple locations simultaneously, creating widespread disruption and increasing the unpredictability of where damage may occur. During the latest Iranian attack, Israeli military assessments indicate that only a small number of missiles were launched in the salvo. However, the use of cluster munitions meant that each missile potentially produced dozens of separate impact points. Missile fragments and submunitions were reported to have struck several areas across central Israel. Israeli police say the impacts caused damage in multiple locations. In one central Israeli town, an impact from a submunition reportedly ignited a fire, prompting an emergency response from rescue teams. Air raid sirens had earlier sounded across Tel Aviv and surrounding areas as the missiles approached. Residents rushed to bomb shelters as the warning systems alerted civilians to the incoming threat. The latest attack marked the 8th missile assault launched by Iran since midnight, highlighting the intensity of the ongoing confrontation. Emergency medical services say that for now, there are no immediate reports of injuries following the latest strike. However, authorities continue to assess damage and search for unexploded submunitions that may still pose a risk. The Israeli Home Front Command has now informed residents in the affected areas that they may leave their bomb shelters. Even so, officials are urging civilians to remain close to protected spaces in case additional missile alerts are triggered. Footage captured at one of the impact sites shows debris scattered across the ground, believed to be fragments from a cluster bomb submunition.
These glasses automatically turn into sunglasses in bright daylight.
Overnight,
Israel launching sweeping strikes against Iran, targeting its nuclear facilities, military sites, and top commanders.
Several Iranian military leaders and nuclear scientists believed to be dead, and right now Israel is beginning to intercept drones sent from Iran in retaliation. But Israel says this is just the beginning of their operation.
Israel will never allow those who call for our annihilation to develop the means to achieve that goal. Tonight, Israel...
Your president, Donald Trump, said he was going to end all wars. So what happened? Seemed like the war machine keeps on rolling. And not only that, they killed their supreme leader. They want to call supreme leader. Let's just call him their top holy man. They killed him on Ramadan at the beginning of this conflict in Iran. Check it out.
Yeah, Sandra, we just got this in literally 2 minutes ago, but Fox News can confirm that Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead following Israeli strikes against his compound and location earlier today. A senior Israeli official confirming this news. Earlier tonight, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu describing the strikes not only against the supreme leader, but against much of the Iranian leadership. We know the breakdown in strikes focused on leadership for the Israelis and military targets initially for the Americans, and has since expanded as this campaign is expected to continue in the days and possibly even weeks ahead. As we're looking at the current situation across the region, we're also gathering new information on what the Israelis have been doing against Iran. We are told from a military official that the largest Israeli Air Force sortie against any country in the world was conducted this morning with 200 Israeli fighter jets targeting 500 different locations, dropping hundreds of munitions on a variety of different targets inside of Iran. The Israelis, while they were going after leadership, were also looking to neutralize the incoming ballistic missile fire that has targeted their country throughout the day. Sirens sounded across Israel throughout the afternoon, sending millions of people into bomb shelters. But again, the takeaway here, the Israelis have killed Iran's supreme leader. That is being confirmed to Fox News by a senior Israeli official. John, Sandra.
Okay, so Trey, you're obviously breaking that news for us just now. We'll be looking for reaction, obviously, on the ground in Iran and all over the Middle East region.
Absolutely. This is a major blow to the Iranian regime. Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei, was not a figurehead. He was the man in charge of decisions as it relates to Iran's nuclear program, their expanding ballistic missile program, the hardline positions that made it impossible for the Americans to reach a diplomatic solution with the Iranians. And that led to a variety of conversations behind the scenes. And I can also report, having just gotten off of a background call with a U.S. official, that there were attempts made by the Trump administration, really olive branches given to the Iranians at the negotiating table, asking them to find a solution on the nuclear issue. These other issues, their ballistic missile program, their support of regional proxies, and even the crackdown on protesters, the Trump administration initially was willing to ignore those issues in order to get an agreement together on the nuclear program. And they simply were not willing to come to the table with reasonable demands. And despite the efforts by top negotiators that were sent to Oman and to Switzerland, whether it be Special Envoy Steve Witkoff or President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who we know have been working across the region around the clock over the past year, not just on this issue, but also to get a ceasefire in Gaza and implement the new Board of Peace to create stability in the region. The understanding was that the Iranian regime and the supreme leader himself, these were the last hurdles for the region between stability and instability. And this decision was made overnight by President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to launch these extensive strikes across Iran in order to neutralize that threat. President Trump overnight, when he made those remarks, said there could be American casualties. This is going to be a difficult fight because no war is easy, despite the fact that by tomorrow, the Israelis believe they will have air superiority over the skies of Iran. But we have seen the Iranian response today, not just here in Israel, with the ballistic missile fire targeting major population centers, including Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and Haifa, but also Gulf countries, Bahrain, the UAE, and Qatar. A regional diplomat telling Fox News this evening that 8 people were injured in Qatar during one of the attacks. One of them is in critical condition. And so there are serious consequences to this counterattack by Iran.
Ben Gurion on the landing approach. So what does that mean for the future there in terms of the theocracy if that were to continue?
Israel is looking east right now to the threat from Iran, but they're also looking north and south. Iran's largest proxies are Hezbollah, the Lebanese militant group in southern Lebanon, and the Houthis in Yemen. Hezbollah, according to an intelligence official I spoke to recently, still has thousands of rockets and missiles, and around half of them are within range of Israeli cities. And this is a serious threat still posed to Israel, despite the fact that the Israelis have degraded and destroyed much of the Hezbollah arsenal. It still poses a threat to Israel. You might remember, as we reported throughout the past 2.5 years, the Israelis decapitated the head of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, with a strike in the Dakhya neighborhood of southern Beirut. They went after the missile launching positions we saw on the ground there in southern Lebanon as the Israelis meticulously moved field by field and cave by cave to go after these positions that had been dug into the sides of mountains. But despite those efforts, this is an organization that had decades of support from the Iranian regime, and they were able to smuggle in missiles and rocket components that now make up what is left of that arsenal. And while it is a smaller arsenal than before, it is a threat. And Hezbollah in the past, just the past several days, has said that if Iran's supreme leader was targeted, they would get directly involved in this war. And so that is where Israel is focused right now. As it relates to the situation on the ground in Iran, we do have to step back amid all of this military action and these serious decisions that were made by President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. There is still an understanding about how the structure of the Iranian regime operates. Iran's supreme leader reportedly had already prepared successors. Iran's IRGC had already prepared successors for the top commanders of their military, understanding that if a war erupted, these would be the individuals targeted in such a conflict. And so this isn't over. This is actually just beginning. But it does raise questions about the future of the region and where things are headed once this does conclude.
Also crossing right now, a source familiar to Fox News is saying some Gulf partners are responding to Iran defensively and offensively. Trey, since the last time you joined us, top of the last hour, we got word that President Trump had sat down for this several-minute interview with Axios, in which he said he believes he has several off-ramps from Operation Epic Fury, talking about how long this could take. It could end in 2 or 3 days, said the president. He could tell the Iranians, see you again in a few years if you start rebuilding your nuclear and missile programs.
We're coming to you with breaking news. President Trump right now speaking live from the White House about Iran. Take a listen.
To introduce, a lot of them are political champions, and we don't care about them today, right? Right, Duffy? But we have, most importantly, wonderful people that love our country. And before we begin, I think I will say a few words about what's going on with respect to our operation in the country of Iran. The United States military, together with the wonderful Israeli partners, continues to totally demolish the enemy far ahead of schedule and at levels that people have never seen before, actually. We're destroying more of Iran's missiles and drone capability every single hour, knocking them out like nobody thought was possible. As soon as they set off a missile, within 4 minutes, the launcher gets hit. They don't know what's happening. But we have the greatest military anywhere in the world. Their Navy is gone. 24 ships in 3 days. That's a lot of ships. Their anti-aircraft weapons are gone. So they have no air force. They have no air defense. All of their airplanes are gone. Their communications are gone. Missiles are gone. Launches are gone. About 60% and 64% respectively. Other than that, they're doing quite well. I said, what's left? But they're tough and they want to fight. And they're calling, they're saying, how do we make a deal? I said, you're being a little bit late. And we want to fight now more than they do. We've had 47 years, depending on the way you count it, but 47 years of horror with this group. And, when you see somebody walking down the street without their legs, without the arms, whose face is so badly affected and hurt, it mostly came from 95% Soleimani and Iran. And we, other presidents, lived with it. I didn't live with it. And so our people are doing a great job. Again, the greatest military anyone's seen. Thank you. Thank you very much. And yesterday, my administration announced decisive action to help keep down the oil prices, including offering political risk insurance for tankers transiting into the Gulf, as you know, pretty dangerous territory. Further action to reduce pressure on oil is imminent, and the oil seems to have pretty much stabilized. We had it very low, but I had to take this little detour if it's okay with everybody. Scott, it's okay with you? Scott's the one who has to put up with it. He said, you have to do this now? I said, I have to do it, Scott, right? But it's been very strong, and everybody, including Scott, everybody feels we had really no choice. They were going to hit us if we didn't hit them, because they're crazy. And in the long term, the actions we're taking will dramatically increase the stability of the region and oil prices and stock markets and everything else. We set the all-time record in history with the Dow going to 50,000. So Dow was at 50,000. It was supposed to be maybe, if we were lucky, within by the end of my presidency in 4 years. And we did it in my first year. We did the S&P 500. We did that in a period of less than a year. And that was even tougher than the Dow, they said, so it wasn't going to happen. But we have a great country. We have a country that's never done this well. We've had tremendous success in so many different ways. I built the military and rebuilt it in my first term, and we're using it more than I'd like to use it, to be honest with you. But when we used it, we found out it certainly did work. When we look at Venezuela, when we look at the first attack, Midnight Hammer, in Iran, which really set the stage for what we're doing right now. It's been pretty amazing. And I'm once again calling on all members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, the military and the police, to lay down their arms. They're only going to be killed. And now is the time to stand up for the Iranian people and help take back your country. You're going to have a chance after all these years to take back your country. Accept immunity. We'll give you immunity. And we'll be giving you really the right side of history, because that's what it is. So you'll be perfectly safe with total immunity, or you'll face absolutely guaranteed death. And I don't want to see that. They don't want to see it either. We also urge Iranian diplomats around the world to request asylum and to help us shape a new and better Iran with great potential. It's a country with great potential. It's much better future for Iran. It's now beginning. It's going to be, I think, a great future. And the United States will ensure that whoever leads the country next, Iran will not threaten America or its neighbors, Israel, anybody. If you look at what happened, they had missiles aimed at all of these other countries, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, many others, that weren't really involved very much. And they had missiles aimed, well, they were aimed there long before this ever started. They were going after the entire Middle East. And then we came along. We blew up their party. So we have phenomenal people. I want to thank all of the people that have been involved. Marco, you've been doing a fantastic job. And you've been doing a fantastic job on a place called Cuba. And A-Rod came in before. I said, hey, do you want to come up to a little award? He's gone to plenty of award ceremonies. Thank you, A-Rod. Big fan. But what's happening with Cuba is amazing. And we think that we want to finish this one first, but that will be just a question of time before you and a lot of unbelievable people are going to be going back to Cuba. Hopefully not to stay. We want you back, and we don't want to lose you. We don't want to make it so nice that they stay. But some people probably do want to stay. They love Cuba so much. I hear it all the time. That was another one that wasn't supposed to happen. Venezuela is going great. It's been stabilized. We have a wonderful person as your president-elect, Delcy Rodriguez, and she and her staff have been doing a fantastic job working with us. We're taking out hundreds of millions of barrels of oil, and it's going to Houston and various other places where it's being refined, and we're sending them back far more money than they've made in many years, and actually very shortly it'll be more money than they've ever made. And Venezuela is working. So we've had a lot of countries in places that truly love, you would say football, I would say soccer, but these are all countries that love football/soccer. And so I think the group likes it. And if you'd like, you could sit. I know I'm a very exciting speaker, but you can sit down if you'd like, okay? I'm looking at everybody standing. I'm saying, let's sit down. Because we're here to honor these great champions, and we want to.
All right, you were just listening to President Trump there at the White House. This was a ceremony for Inter Miami CF, the MLS team there behind President Trump as he's addressing the audience there and reporters.
$1 million making in the white man's world of prestige, who speaks to his people 100% and don't give a damn about the money, being shot, take the title, take it all, and to go to jail tomorrow. I love my people, and I'm not going to sell them out, make no movies, and mislead them and marry blondes, because I'm one Negro who's the boss. Let me come in the council, and the rest of them in the fields catching hell. I'm going to the fields and represent them if it means die. So that's why I'll fight.
Now they want to talk, and you know, for him, it's a little too late. But
with a Fox News alert overnight, Israel launching sweeping strikes against Iran.